Okay, now the last thing we're going to do is evaluating piecewise functions, and we're going to do this in two ways. Because what you're going to do on your test is you're going to graph one of these piecewise functions, and then after you graph it, you're also going to evaluate it for a specific value. So there are two ways that you can do this. One of the ways that you can do this is you can look at f of -5. That's what we are supposed to be evaluating. And we know that that -5 is what our x equals. So our x equals -5. So we need to determine which of these functions we are going to use. So are we going to use our red function, f of x, if x squared is, sorry, f of x squared if x is greater than -1. So let's check that there. If x is greater than -1, sorry, I'm trying to stop this beeping. Okay. If f is greater than 1. So is -5, is that greater than 1 up there? No. So I'm not going to use my f function. What about my blue function? F of x equals x plus 1 if x is less than 1. Okay, so if x is less than 1. Is our x value up here less than 1? Absolutely. So we need to use the blue function for this here. So we will do f of x, not f of x, sorry, f of -5 equals, and notice I'm using my blue function here, my -5 plus 1. So f of -5 equals -5 plus 1 is -4. Now the other way that you can evaluate these functions, if they give you the graph here, is that you can go to your graph here, just like we did in 10 part 1, okay? And I'm going to use my blue function, which is this one here, okay? And I go to where my x is -5, and I drop down. This is the point, -5, -4. So when my x is -5, my y is -4, okay? A couple other practice ones here. Evaluate f of 2, okay? Evaluate f of 2. This right here is telling us that my x is 2, okay? So we'll run through the same thing. F of x equals x squared if x is greater than 1. So if x is greater than 1. Is 2 greater than 1? Absolutely it is. So we are going to do f of, oops, wrong color. We are going to do f of 2. Notice I'm using my red function here. And that equals x squared. So what is our x? Well, our x is 2. Okay, and I'm using my red function because your x is greater than 1. Okay, so we get f of 2 equals 2 squared, which is 4. So there's your answer there. So you can use your equation to evaluate. You can also go over to your graph here. We're talking about our red function. Okay, f of 2 equals 4. So there's where my x equals 2. We go up, and you can see it hits at the point right there, which is 2, 4. So when my x is 2, my y is 4. Okay, and then the last one that we have is the one that can trip some people up. Okay, we've got to evaluate f of 1. So what is our x value? Well, our x is 1. So this is tricky because 1 is our split point. That's where the change happens. Okay, so I need to look at my red function here. Okay, and that says that if x is greater than or equal to 1, what does our x do? Where x equals 1 there. Okay, so we need to use our red function, f of 1 equals 1 squared. So f of 1 equals 1. Now, I can tell from my graph on this, notice that the red function has it filled in. That means we're including that. So 1, 1, we are including. When our x is 1, our y is 1. And you can notice with our blue function here, we are not including that. It's got the open circle. So you need to find the one where it is included at 1. Okay? So the rest of these here I just have are just going to be practice. Okay? So pause the video, try this one on your own, see if you can answer those for us. Okay, so we got f of -4 equals. Okay, so our x value is -4, which -4 is less than -2. So we are going to be using the top function on this here. Okay, so I've got f of -4 is my x, and that equals x plus 3, which we're plugging in -4 for that. So I find that f of -4 equals -1. So this one doesn't have a graph to be able to check it with, but we're just plugging it in. Okay. Next, I have my x equaling -1. Okay. Well, -1 is not less than -2, so we're not going to use the red function. My blue function here says f of x equals x squared if -2 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 2. Okay. Remember, that just means that your x is between -2 and 1. And -1 is between -2 and 1. So we are going to use our blue function for this one. Okay, our x value is -1, and it goes in the blue function because -1 is between -2 and 2. Okay, what is -1 squared? Well, -1 squared is just a 1. So this just equals 1. Okay, and then our last one we have is f of 2. So our x equals 2. I'm going to assume that we're going to use this bottom one, the yellow one. And you guys should be looking at me and saying, no, because x equals 2, and the yellow one is x greater than 2. Notice the blue one is the one that is including 2. So we're actually going to be using our blue function again. F of 2 equals 2 squared. So f of 2 equals 4. So we actually never even used our yellow function there. Well, that's kind of silly. Okay, couple more examples to practice. We've got this one here. Notice you can look back up and look at your graphs if you need to. It's the one on the left. Okay, also this one here. Again, you can look at the graph. It's the one over there on the left if you want to look at the graph. Okay, pause the video, try these on your own. Okay, red function here, f of x equals the absolute value of x if x is less than -1. Well, -8 is definitely less than -1. So I'm going to be using the red function on this. F of equals the absolute value of, well, we're talking about -8 here. Okay, what is the absolute value of -8? Well, that would be a +8. So there's our answer for the first one. We've got f of 4 on the next one. 4 is not less than -1. So let's look at our blue function where we need our x to be greater than -1. So I would want to use my blue function for this. So we've got f of 4 equals 2 times 4 minus 3. So f of 4 equals 8 minus 3. And f of 4 equals 5. Got that one there. And then our last one is -1. Notice they always try to sneak that one in on you. So which of these is including -1? Well, it would be the bottom. So we need to use our blue function here. F of 2 times minus 3. What are we plugging in? We're plugging in our -1. -2 minus 3 gives me -5. So f of -1 is -5. Okay, one more to do, and then we're done with these long notes. Okay, evaluate the following. F of -2, f of -2. Okay, so first function in red, f of x equals -x minus 4 if x is less than -2. Ooh, close on that one, but we need to use the one where the -2 is included, which is the blue function here. So f of -2 equals a -2 squared. So notice that negative is on the outside there. Okay, so I'm going to plug in my -2. -2 squared gives me a +4. That negative is still on the outside. So f of -2 is -4. Okay, next we have 4. Okay, well, 4 is not between -2 and 2. 4 is greater than or equal to 2, so we're going to use our yellow function for this one, f of x minus 4. What are we plugging in there? We'd be plugging in our 4. Okay, so we end up with f of 4 equals 0. Nice and easy math. And then our last one, we've got f of 2. So again, which one of these is including 2? Well, this yellow function here would be including 2. So we would want to do then f of 2 equals 2 minus 4. So plugging in 2's for those x's. F of 2 equals 2 minus 4, which is -2. So that is all of your piecewise function notes. I do apologize for these being a little bit longer, but after your lecture 12, you guys should have the time.